another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. I'm Bennett, Conlin, joined by Jack Fitzpatrick. And Jack, the Dukes, they're undefeated on Marvel Day. Just a complete 4-point beatdown. Something Ole Miss couldn't do, something UVA couldn't do, something North Texas did, but I'm going to come up with a few reasons why that doesn't matter. So pretty good day.
And you know what else, Bennett? We have nothing to apologize for today.
That's pretty nice, man. Feels good. No apologies today so far.
So far. Now, there's still a whole lot of season left for us to mess something up.
Whole lot of time left. But actually, coaching carousel could come up.
I'm itching to report something crazy.
Same, man. I heard a couple of rumors about Saban. He wants to get back, and he wants to get back at a program that can win it all.
That was a funny... When was that? Was that LSU? The rumors that were like, Saban might come out of retirement, but Miss Terry doesn't want him to. What? That's the holdup? You mean the man who is so anti the current stage of college athletics wants to get back into it?
Yeah, what a fun time that was.
For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net. But man, I'm excited to dive into this one. I wasn't able to watch it live, the Washington State game live.
So let's talk Virginia. Tell us what happened there real quick.
On a side note, it's kind of fun, not fun, but these last two games, the Marshall game and Washington State game, both have aligned with What game was it? There was another game. It wasn't. Yeah, it may have been Marshall. The last Virginia Union game I did, something like that, where you are crashing out like in real time in our group chat, and I'm not really being able to watch the game at all or watch the text. So after the game, I get to scroll through like the live anger that turns into happiness that then devolves back into anger. Like the Marshall game was rough, like seeing the text. And I just wanted to say it's really, really enjoyable because then I'm like, oh, they won. I was like watching the little dots move and you're like, oh, they won. Let me go back and rewatch the game knowing what the end result's going to be. And you're like, oh, what a good play by Washington State. Where like in the moment I would have been watching it and I'm like, what the fuck? But instead it's like, man, Zeffy, that QB they got's a good one. Good for him. But yeah, Virginia Union lost a heartbreaker. If you're into Division II football playoffs, they do it the right way. No NIL. We play playoffs at the end of the year, real playoffs, automatic bids for all conference champions. All right, like the right way. It's the right way to do it. Okay.
Justice for Kennesaw State.
Are they being left out right now?
I think they have a good chance to win Conference USA. They should get a bid.
Oh, I see what you mean. I was like, I'm not even, Conference USA hasn't even come up in any of the arguments.
I just don't think a team like Georgia has seen a team like Kennesaw quite yet. And I would like to see it.
I would push back because Georgia saw Charlotte the other week, right?
Kennesaw would do. Kennesaw would win the American going away.
Okay.
They'd struggle in the Sun Belt because it's just like a different kind of grind.
That's true.
They'd win the American pretty easily.
That's true. But yeah, Virginia Union fell in a heartbreaker. So I want to get your thoughts on this as an unbiased third party here as we start the show with Virginia Union talk. Mm-hmm. Everyone's here to listen to Division II HBCU CIAA breakdowns. So they have the best running back in the nation, Curtis Allen. And like when I say nation, he leads all divisions in rushing yards. He has over 2,200 rushing yards this season in 12, 13 games, something crazy. He's averaging over 200 yards per game. He is the greatest running back in college football right now. 6'2", 220, dude's a tank. So it is.
He's better than Jeremiah Love, many are saying.
If you put them on the same field against their respective competition and Curtis Allen.
That's a big caveat, but okay.
Where was I going? Oh, so Union, they go down 10 points with about 9:50 remaining. Zaire Tart, a transfer guy that they had come in from, he was the special teams player of the year a year ago, houses the kickoff return. They're right back into it. The defense makes a huge stand. Blah, blah, back and forth, back and forth. Ends up where the starting quarterback leaves the game with an injury for Union. The backup comes in. He's slinging it. And, oh, by the way, he's like a local Richmond kid. So would be a really good story. He then makes it 4th and like 15. And he drops back. He's on their own, let's say 20. 44-yard bomb over the middle to Zaire Tart, the guy who just had the kickoff return for a touchdown. He goes down. My numbers might be off. The ball's now down inside the opponent's 20-yard line. Just a huge gain on 4th and 15. So then what do? They hand the ball off to the greatest running back in Division II football, who then tosses it back to Zaire Tart, who just caught the 44-yard gain. And like there was no timeout. This is like directly get up to the line and snap. How much time's left? We're running at about like 2-ish minutes.
Okay, so not terrible.
But a handoff to Curtis Allen, who then does a reverse pitch to Zaire Tart, who gets tackled for a loss of 4. Next play. So you're still in manageable field goal range. Mind you, it's Division II. The lengths are a little less. It's not like you're having a D1 kicker go out there and nail it from 55. This guy's range is like 45 yards. So you're right on kind of the cusp of field goal range, and you're down 3. You have the best running back in the nation. You drop back to pass again, and it's a sack, which sets up 3rd and long, and you're on the edge of field goal range. He drops back to pass. Intentional grounding.
Oh, no.
Takes him where the kicker comes out, who's won Special Teams Player of the Year 3 times. In his entire career, he's maybe missed 3 kicks. I don't know the exact number, but like one of the more automatic guys. 47 yards would be a new career long. He has the leg, but it's just wide left. And this is probably going to be like a Virginia Union Hall of Famer. Dude's awesome. But that was the last kick he'll ever take as a Panther. And it was just like, damn.
That's tough.
So that's what everyone came for.
So a lot of good football. A lot of football this weekend.
It was a really good game. Then I know everyone came for the 3-minute breakdown of Virginia Union.
Well, I'm glad we got there. I'm glad we were there. That was a dogfight. Washington State was a dogfight. It's one of those games that you mentioned at the beginning, sort of the up and down emotions. I went with Caroline, and after the game, I was like, that's some of the most fun I've had at a football game in a long time. She said, I think we were living in 2 different realities because the things I was saying during the game were not always positive. I was saying some of those ridiculous stuff. They're down at halftime 17-10, and I'm like, looking at the yardage differential, and I'm like, oh man, this isn't good. Like, this just looks like it's getting away from them. This is not this is not good. And she's like, don't they always have kind of sluggish first half, and then they come out and play these great second halves and win? And I was like, it's just different today.
Yeah, but this feels different.
This isn't right. Different. This isn't what's happening. And then they come back and win after the game. I'm like, second half JMU, and she's like, I hate you. And then like the kicker, like Suarez, they drive down, they're kicking a field goal, and I'm like, I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about this from like mid 40 yards. He's just, I don't know. I don't feel good about the kicking situation. He drills it right in the All-State hands, and she's like, what are you talking about? I don't think you know anything about football. And it felt like that during the game because I was really negative. I was like, this is terrible. Things are not going well. And then after the fact, I was like, that's the most fun I've had in forever. Because that's how I watch college football, like a lunatic. But it was one of those games. It was a great game. Looking back on it, what a fun game between 2 really well-coached teams, but stressful in the moment because I was worried about JMU there for a bit. But they did what they always do. Good second half. Got the running game going. Alonza made just enough plays. I thought the crowd was good, especially in the second half. It was fun. It was a fun game. Like, Washington State's really well coached, and the way they're playing now is much different than the way they played in September. That doesn't mean, like, North Texas winning by 49 doesn't count, which I've seen some JMU fans say, where they're like, totally different team, totally different. It's like they've gotten better for sure, but, like, to be clear, it's the same Washington State team. Like, they're much improved, and, like, if JMU played Washington State in September and Louisville in November, they're probably undefeated and go to the playoff. But that's not what happened. Okay, so North Texas does get to pound their chest, winning 59-10. And was it a fluky game where they forced 1 million turnovers? Yeah, kinda. But at the same time, last year we spent all this time being like, wow, Lyle Hempel and the Dukes, they just force turnovers. They're dogs. And then when North Texas does it, we're like, frauds. So I don't think that's fair. Beating Washington State by 49, regardless of what version of them they played, is very impressive to me because this is a good team.
And beating them by 4 in late November when it's a completely different Washington State team is also very good. And crazy concept. Nuance is lost on social media, and people just want to yell at each other saying that their team's better than the other in complete bad faith arguments. Wow, that's what social media is. Crazy. But like, this is a Washington State team that took it to Ole Miss, nearly had that huge upset, gave it all to UVA, nearly pulled off the whole upset. And like, talking with Dylan Howe from CougFan.com last week, it was kind of like the season of what ifs. We're like, what if they did beat Ole Miss? What if they also beat UVA? And now it's another game they can put a feather in their cap for the what if game that they play, because they played a really, really, really good football game. Zevi Eckhouse, their quarterback, he fits the Jimmy Rogers system really well. I was really impressed by Zevi. And overall, that team, they hit some big explosive plays. They did something that a lot of teams haven't been able to do against JMU's defense, which is generate the big explosives. And that defense is so legit for Washington State. They held JMU to their worst EPA per play against G5 opponents. And I'm sorry, Washington State, you're being lumped into G5s because you're not a P4. And even next year when the Pac-12 is
reinvigorated, G6 next year, right?
Yeah, you're very much G6. But they held JMU to a negative 0.14 EPA per play, 21st percentile. That is by far, that may even be the worst mark of the season, worse than Louisville. I got to double check that. But they had a 40% success rate. Really, Washington State did everything right except for come out on the right side of the score bug. And it was a very, very good football game.
Yeah, it felt a little, I guess. Go ahead.
It's a game. And I know everyone's been saying this is a game they lose last year because for all intents and purposes, they lost this game. It was very dead even in terms of the regular people numbers. Washington State actually had the edge in terms of nerd numbers. They had the better net success rate. First time JMU has lost the net success rate battle all season. As we all know, they beat Louisville in net success rate. Pound your chest on that. That's a P5 win. I don't care what you're saying. But this is a game they lose last year. This is a game they probably lose a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, like it's one, I don't know, it's just a gritty, good win. Like it was a fun win against a good team. I had a great time. On a personal level. I turned 30 on Friday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I went out to the local chop house. Got a steak Friday night.
You're bougie.
Yeah, we had a great time.
I thought you would have gone to Finnegan's.
Game was should have went to Finnegan's, right? They're known for their food. I can't believe I ate there once. What a mistake. Anyway.
Well, in fairness, you didn't eat there. You ordered food
I ordered
from there.
food there. That's true. I took about a bite of the chicken tenders, quotes there. Oof, it was just like gum. I think it was Hubba Bubba in there. It's breaded gum. Anyway, not good. But, like, it was a fun weekend in Harrisonburg. I thought the crowd, like, they were kind of slow at times just because, like, they had 80 yards of offense in the first half. So you had the pick six when everyone got excited. And then after that, it wasn't great. Second half was a lot of fun. And I'll remember those 3 touchdowns for such a long time. The Eaglin pick six, the Wisłowski bomb, and then Wayne Knight to clinch it with a 58-yard touchdown run.
And I know that's not going to... Yes, the Wayne Knight touchdown run is freaking insane. Pat McMurtry just completely...
Guy in the turf.
Owning the guy. I've got to have Eva ask him a question about that when they have their master's class together next week. And then Jahmyr Gibbs copied Wayne Knight in the overtime run. He said, "Oh, I'm going to look like Wayne Knight because Wayne Knight's your favorite running back's favorite running back." But like Alonza showed, and I know some people may push back because he had a couple of bad sacks, a couple of bad plays, but I think overall he showed a good ability to manage the pocket, which is something that he didn't used to have. He did a good job of. Now there were a couple of things here and there that, I mean, if I'm a perfectionist, I want to see it perfect, but he really avoided sacks. There was one play in particular where he had really good lateral movement to avoid a pressure right up into his face. He kind of rolled out. I forget if it was even a completion or not, but just the act of rolling out, I was like, good job, man. That shows growth. That's awesome. And that one play to Wisłowski where it's not going to go down as a play action, but shout out to you, Dean Kennedy, because that was the one where he faked the QB power, then drops back and Wisłowski's just wide open. And it's not a play action, but it's essentially acts as a play action. And it's amazing. And Dean Kennedy's growth, we rag on him all the time, rightly so, but I'm going to give him his flowers because this is a game where Dean Kennedy in the past would have messed things up.
Yeah, and he did like that play. He puts in Joby at running back, which signals that it's like a power package. So it's a personnel grouping where they're expecting run. They often do quarterback run with Joby blocking. So they fake that. They buy it. He actually had Jalen Sanchez way more wide open on the play. And when the ball left his hand, I was like, wait, who's he throwing to? And I saw Wislowski was also open. Less open, to be honest with you, but a shorter throw. Perfect throw, catches it, outruns his guy, whatever, scores. So he had two guys that would have been touchdowns on that play. Really well designed. But it was one of those where they used a personnel grouping and sort of broke a tendency. Where I thought other points in the game, they were doing kind of some dumb stuff on both ends. Like they were giving up a lot of like third and long conversions on runs because they kept bringing in their speed rush package. And they would
Union allowed 3 third and 10 pluses to be converted in that game. Sorry,
they're bringing in like the NASCAR package. They're like, we want Gobira at defensive tackle, and then we want our like speedy edge rushers, which is fine.
Well,
but it felt like they could have adjusted here and put maybe like keep Amar Thomas and Sear West. And I told Amar Thomas the night before, drunk in the elevator at Hotel Madison, I said, you got to be in there on third downs. What are they doing with you? And I stand by what I said.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you think your drunken tirade to Amar Thomas in the elevator at Hotel Madison played any part in that? And
yeah, maybe he was like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, he opened the door for me to talk to him."
So let's take a pause here because I want to get to how that conversation came up. Let's take a quick ad break, and then I want to hear how you doing turned into a drunken Bennett going, Amar, I'm telling you, man, you've got to be on the field more often on first down. That's what PFF tells me. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Love JMU Sports News? Help us keep bringing you the best coverage we possibly can. Support the show and fuel our work at buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Every cup keeps us rolling all season long. Buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Big win, huge play. Don't just remember it, wear the moment. Breaking Tea makes shirts that capture the game's biggest highlights right as they happen. Gear up today using the link in the description. College football's back, and it's time to upgrade your game day gear. Right now, claim 15% off at Home Field. The best retro and vintage apparel in the game. Rep JMU in style. Don't wait. Check the link in description to get your 15% off. Every Monday, go to the house with former JMU quarterback Vad Lee and Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce. It's the weekly JMU football podcast with insider insight you won't find anywhere else from two guys who've worn the jersey. Listen now. Subscribe to the JMU Sports News Podcast Network to never miss an episode of To the House every Monday. For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net. All right, welcome back into the JMU Sports News Podcast. Bennett, the floor is yours. How do we go from how you doing to is there sounds some our town is down?
I had done such a good job at Hotel Madison the whole previous part of Friday. Because the players, they stay there before the game, right? They stay in a hotel, so essentially so that they have to follow a curfew. And they can be organized as a team. They go to team dinner. And I had done such a good job. I let Curtis Harris Lopez go to dinner without bothering him. Okay? I let Nick DeGennaro eat with his family without bothering him. Jalen Sanchez, I let him do his thing. There's so many players where it's like, oh my God, I just want to bother them. Looked like Trayshawn Dye was there. That's my guy. Let it be. But we get in the elevator, and I'm probably staring at Amar Thomas a little too long. Because anytime I see him in the gear, I'm like, oh, I want to make sure I know who it is.
How many drinks are you in?
Let's see. 2 cocktails at dinner.
So you're buzzed.
2 cocktails at dinner, and then a couple beers at Pale Fire. So a decent amount for me, right? I'm a lightweight, you know that.
That's a lot for you.
So I was feeling pretty good. Amar Thomas says hello. Well, first he doesn't say anything, and then he says, like, how are you doing? I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, if he talks to me, like, I'm going to talk about him on third downs. But
you're like, wow, I can't believe he's asking us how I'm doing after the week we had of accidentally breaking.
I know. But he's like, how you guys doing? And I'm like, to me and Caroline, I'm like, oh, we're good. And how you guys feeling about tomorrow? You guys confident? And he was like, yeah, we're feeling really confident. And then we're like getting close to his floor. And he's just looking at him like, they got to play you on third downs more, man. Like, they keep taking you off. What are these great second down plays? He was like, that's not my decision. That's the coach's decision. And then he was like laughing as he got off the elevator on his floor because he definitely didn't expect me to be like, he just thought we would say hello. He probably didn't know that knew that he was a rotational defensive end. But I did. And I was like, I got to tell him. And then I'm watching the game on Saturday. And that's all I can think about is they keep taking him out and giving up these third and longs after he makes all these great second down plays. I don't know, maybe mix it up a little bit with the speed package.
Do you think there was ever a thought when he was standing on the sideline on a third down and they converted a third and long and he was like, man, maybe that guy in that elevator had a point.
I wanted him to stay in on a third down so bad. They gave him like a third down or 2 later in the game. And I was like, if he gets a sack or something here,
he better point to me.
I want him in the post-game press conference to be like, somebody in the elevator told me this was going to happen. But he was, he balled out, thought he played well. But they gave up like these little NASCAR package where they bring in the speed rushers and it was kind of burning him a few times. And then like offensively, they threw an interception because they were targeting Isaiah Alston on a slant. I don't know that we need to do that in whatever week it is. Like, I know that Landon Ellis was like basically out because he played like a snap and he had like no power in his ankle. Maybe we throw it to Nick or Jalen or one of the,
or
I don't
Wiz,
know. They did some,
or Wizlowski.
They did some questionable stuff where they targeted him and it led to a pick. Logan Kyle got one that almost led to a pick, and he's kind of like tight end 3 in the passing game this year. Had a nice catch later. But they did a few things that I was a little confused, like personnel-wise. But the fake Joby like power blocking thing that led to a long touchdown was a very nice like tendency breaker. And I would like to see a few more of those at some point. Although, to be honest, that was probably the game to do them. I think you can run whatever tendency you want against Coastal. We'll get into that in a future podcast. You can run whatever tendency you want against Troy or Southern Miss. You're probably winning those games by 30.
Yeah, well, our Coastal preview and our college football playoff reaction will be coming later this week. This is just our Washington State breakdown and our voicemail episode. But look, if you do too many tendency breakers, then those just become tendencies.
And then you can go back to what you like to do.
But, I mean, the offensive game plan was really, really, really solid. And kind of going back to something you said even earlier where Caroline was like, don't they normally start out sluggish in the first half and then kind of ball out in the second half? That was on display on the defensive side. And Hitchler's just such a funny DC because it's very clear he just runs more vanilla stuff. And I'm not saying like his stunt packages are vanilla, but in the first half, it seems that he wants you to kind of empty out your play calling bag of tricks. And then the second half, he's like, hey, dummy, I know what to do now. Like in the first half, Washington State did a really good job of neutralizing the aggression from JMU's front 7, specifically their front 4. So many times JMU would be 3-4 yards up the field, looking like they'd get a sack, crushing the pocket, and then Zevi would just have a quick dump out to the back tight end or a wide receiver on some quick developing play, pick up some yardage, and they were able to move the ball really effectively. In the second half, that wasn't there as often, and it's just like, to me, I imagine Hitchler in some, like, you know the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where Charlie's like, he's got the board with all the ropes and stuff. That's what I imagine Hitchler's like at halftime, where he's like, and it really worked because Washington State's offense looked a lot different in the second half than it did in the first half.
Yeah, it's one of those games that, like, I don't know, it could have gone a bunch of different ways, but like the interception gifted them 3 points. They have a drive stall at like the Washington State 12 on a fourth
down, man.
Yeah.
What?
That was another time.
You got to get that, man.
Bad snap kind of threw it off too. It was like a low snap and they shoved it in his belly and nobody blocked.
What are your thoughts on why JMU sucks at fourth down?
I think they're super predictable, and 4th and 1 is part of it. It's like it's almost always like a hey, we're in shotgun, we're gonna hand it off, and it used to be hey, we're in shotgun, Sluka's gonna take it up the gut. It just seems like it's a little bit disjointed. Like they rarely have like a nice little play action, quick pass out of it, where maybe they should have done that to get him going. Also, this is like the worst team to do it against, man. Washington State is so good on like fourth and short, so to have a bad snap, run it right into the teeth of the defense was tough. But that's the same thing where like they gifted him 3 points. They had a drive stall there that didn't lead to anything. They had like 80 first half yards. They didn't play that well, and they won by 4 over what I think is a pretty good team.
Yeah. I think To the House was breaking it down too, where like this is likely, if they beat Oregon State, a bowl team. And I think they were saying JMU has beaten 8 bowl teams this year, which I know is not necessarily potentially. A couple of things.
They need a few things to go their way, but it's going to be at least like 5.
Which like is impressive. And I know bowl games, the barometer is like 6-6, but still, a bowl game's a win. Like that's a team that won half of its games this season. And it was a very, very good performance. I do want to shout out one player, and To the House shouted him out too, but he gives me Chris Sheeran vibes from a year ago.
Ooh.
Tyler Brown.
Yeah.
Like and this is going to come across almost as disrespectful, and I don't mean it to be. You forget he's like a player.
Yes.
His name's Tyler Brown. That's not the most name. It's not Aiden Gobira. It's not Drew Spinagatti. It's not Trent Hendrick. It's Tyler Brown. Like, feels like that's my accountant. But the dude's a dog. He's out there flying around, making huge plays. He has been he's been a fantastic second safety alongside Jacob Thomas. Also not a great name. Like, Brown and Thomas sounds like it's a attorney firm up in Northern Virginia, not like they're two of the best safeties in the G5. But Tyler Brown has played exceptionally well. In this Washington State game, he jumped off the screen more times than not in ways where I was just like, that was a damn big hit. Like, he is playing downhill. He's playing fast. And Barksdale gets a lot of love, rightfully so, because he's 5'9", going up against 6'2" guys, which is just wildly impressive. And Culp is a crazy man out there. Eaglin's growth from being benched last year to now getting you could argue like the game-winning pick 6. And I know it wasn't actually like in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But like for a defense that has not really been forcing turnovers this season and hasn't really been scoring defensive touchdowns, wild to get that in a game that's decided by 4 points. Like, you can point to that pick 6 as like, hey, they probably don't win if they do not get this turnover and ensuing score, because the offense was sputtering at that point. It's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to go down and score. All that's to say, Tyler Brown was awesome in this game. He's been awesome this season. He has just been Mr. Steady Eddie, which is exactly what Chris Sheeran was last year at the safety spot. You forgot Sheeran existed, and then he would always make big plays when it mattered most. That's Tyler Brown, and I just wanted to shout him out.
Yeah, he was awesome. He made plays like in the second half. He kind of took that game over. Spinagatti, 16 tackles because Weathersby couldn't really go. I'm kind of surprised they tried to have him go at all, because they would put him in when they had like 3 linebackers on the field, and you could tell he just wasn't right. And then he got really hurt again, re-injured it later in the game, his lower body. So that one felt a little risky at the time and did not pay off. But they were coaching Spinagatti up, man. It was fun to watch Jacob Dobbs on the sideline, because like Spinagatti was making a lot of good plays and he was hyping him up, like really telling him it was great. And then he did miss an assignment or two, and like he would come right back to the sideline, and Hitchler and Dobbs were right there, like, you gotta be in the right spot. Like so they were making sure he was doing some good stuff, and he did. It was cool to see Dobbs so hyped though, because that's a Holy Cross guy that I'm sure he knows pretty well. And he was there as the GA, right? Just coaching him up pretty hard, which is fun to see for a guy who spent 1 year in Harrisonburg and now is clearly invested in what they're trying to do this year.
I gotta find a way to make money off of this. Gotta find a way to make money off of it, man. He was also fantastic. And I just want to say as well, this was, according to PFF, Alonza's worst game since the Louisiana Lafayette game. But that's not really, like, that's just to show you, because I think Alonza played a good game. Like, I think Alonza had some moments where he wasn't his sharpest, but for the most part, I think he played a good game and did enough to help JMU win it. His growth, like you look at his PFF grades, week 1 against Weber State, 55. And these are his offensive grades. At Louisville, 44.3. At Liberty, 66.4. Georgia Southern, good performance, 81.4. At Georgia State, 53.9. Louisiana Lafayette, 63.9. And then from there on out, it's 90, 78, 75, 83. And it's like, oh, wow. So, like, this was a 67 PFF grade, which isn't like lighting the world on fire or anything. And it felt like it may have been a slight step back. But when you compare it to where he was to start the year to now, his growth from the first third of the season to now has just, like, I've never seen a player, and this is why I was so worried after the Georgia State game. I've never seen a player make leaps and bounds types of growth in season like Alonza has this year.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him in person because they kind of iced the game on his legs, and you could sort of tell. It's funny to watch the sideline because you can kind of tell when a lot of stuff is coming. Like right before they kind of have Alonza go out and like fake his own read for a big like first down or close to a first down, Chesney has this huge conversation with him individually where he's like clearly telling him if he sees something to keep it. It's like, I'm glad no one else is on the other side is watching this because he hasn't had a conversation like this with him all game, and now he's like, hey, you keep it. Run for it. But it worked out well. And then, so he's icing the game with his legs. Everyone kind of can tell, like, the way it's going. Like, one first down and this thing's over. Washington State calls a timeout, or it's the 2-minute timeout or whatever. And, like, the Jumbotron zooms in on him hyping up the crowd, and he can tell that his face is on the Jumbotron, and he's leaning into it. He has this huge smile as he's hyping people up, and everyone's going nuts. And it was cool to see him have that moment, because it was, like, you know, a little over 2 years ago when he got the yips, according to Signetti, against Bucknell. So to go from that to like hyping up an entire stadium for the 20th best team, according to the AP poll, beating Washington State, I thought was very cool. It's cool for him to have that moment and be able to like enjoy it like that. He's becoming more of a star, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at his numbers, 9 of 18. Yikes. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 144. But you're right. He iced it with his feet. 32 yards on the ground, 4.6 yards per carry. He managed the pocket, I think, exceptionally well. Yeah. I think last season he's taking a couple of extra sacks that he didn't take in this game, which may take him out of field goal range, may completely stunt a drive. Who knows? Because this was a game that became a field position game, so you needed every yard at certain points. And I think, maybe the raw accounting numbers aren't amazing for him in this game, but he made the plays when it was needed. And in years past, he's taking a sack like he did against Marshall in overtime that ended up ending his season. He didn't get to play in the Boca Raton Bowl, but it was also the loss in overtime against App State. When things started to go wrong, it then started to spiral. There were plenty of moments in this game against Washington State where things could have spiraled. The offense was not firing on all cylinders. Things weren't going extremely well. And he easily could have started becoming a shell of himself. But the opposite happened, and it felt like he rose to the moment. And it was a really, really good win. And I don't want to sound too positive here, but I think it was a really, really solid win. That leaves me excited for the bowl game that they play in because they'll be left out of the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a day. Well, but it was a great win. It was awesome. He played well. I also think he's going to cook the next two teams, like Coastal and either Southern Miss or Troy. I think the offense is going to have a good chance to put up 50 or more in both and then have some blowout wins. So I would expect him to finish the year on a pretty impressive note, him and Wayne Knight. Like, I think the offense is gonna cook. They did enough here in the second half that I think fans should be pretty bullish on that unit.
I also just want to take a moment to shout out the JMU Barstool account, despite them posting a very threatening image to their Instagram, which was completely out of pocket. I think they're at the forefront of like this. Barstool as a whole, like, is at the forefront of this like tarps off movement.
Yes.
Which, okay, if it works, it works. Who am I to complain? But Barstool JMU is whoever's running it, whoever's the admin of the account. This is the first time that like they've taken the stance of like, hey, other students talking peer to peer, being like, y'all are like idiots for leaving. Like, we've got to stay. And then the tarps off and everything. But like, they are the first admin of this Barstool account to like actively call out fellow students, which I think was a big step forward. And it has now resulted in them. I mean, look, there are great crowds now in the fourth quarter over the last couple of home games, which I think was a huge reason and a huge help JMU was able to pull out the win.
Yeah, it might be the first.
Shout out them.
It might be the first true ball knower they've had as their admin over the last few years. Not that anyone was bad. They did like funny tweets and engage people and stuff. But when they like talk about ball, they seem more plugged in to that kind of thing and like, oh, this crowd really matters and that kind of. They seem just a little more plugged in than usual, which has been kind of fun to see. Like they've done a great job encouraging the fan base, and they also have like a gigantic Instagram following. So
they
like
have a gigantic following, like period.
So it makes a difference when they're saying stuff and they're saying, hey, you should stay for all 4 quarters, because the fans did stay for all 4 quarters. The student section too, and they did the tarps off. They had fun. They made a difference. That place was rocking late in the game.
All right. Any other things you want to touch on?
No, we'll get into the playoff stuff soon. So and then men's basketball, they're back. Women's basketball beat Virginia Tech.
We'll do basketball. Let's do voicemails, and then we'll do quick basketball talk. Getting ahead of yourself. Wow, that's what we call a radio tease in the business. All right, we'll take a quick break. Be back with some voicemails. Then we'll be back to talk basketball. You're listening to JMU Sports News Podcast. Love JMU Sports News? Help us keep bringing you the best coverage we possibly can. Support the show and fuel our work at buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Every cup keeps us rolling all season long. Buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Big win? Huge play? Don't just remember it, wear the moment. Breaking Team makes shirts that capture the game's biggest highlights right as they happen. Gear up today using the link in the description. College football's back, and it's time to upgrade your game day gear. Right now, claim 15% off at Home Field. The best retro and vintage apparel in the game. Rep JMU in style. Don't wait. Check the link in description to get your 15% off. Every Monday, go to the house with former JMU quarterback Vad Lee and Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce. It's the weekly JMU football podcast with insider insight you won't find anywhere else from two guys who've worn the jersey. Listen now. Subscribe to the JMU Sports News Podcast Network to never miss an episode of To the House every Monday. For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net.
Yo, what's up? JMU fan Jack here, calling in a little late today. I mean, a little late this week. It's Monday afternoon right now, but besides the point, I'm not going to overreact too much. It wasn't the prettiest game. We do need to tackle way better on defense. But then again, statistically, it was a good game on defense, but it didn't really feel like it, if you get what I mean, because we tackled poorly and we gave up some big plays. But offense was a little concerning. But then again, you have to think Wazoo is probably the second best defense we're going to have to play all season. And yeah, overall, it was nice to get the victory. Roll Dukes on the Coastal.
Fellas, it's the day after. It's Sunday morning. And I'm still buzzing. And I hope the fan base is buzzing. And I don't normally do this given my position on campus, but this is your boy Dom. Just wanted to drop in to remind our fan base, one, college football playoff would be great. It'd be amazing. But I hope it's not the only thing that we try to define the season by. I'm having so much fun watching this team fight through adversity and challenges to win games. The crowd yesterday was unbelievable. The players fed off of that energy. and the finish was amazing. Shout out to our students for buying into the program and buying into what we're selling here. Shout out to them for staying and even staying well into the second half during blowouts this year. We're 10-1. We've got 3 guarantees left. I'm going to be really sad when this season ultimately ends, but I hope everybody that's listening to this also enjoys the ride. It's likely that we're going to be looking for a new head coach here in a couple weeks. We're likely going to have a good number of players at the portal that will not be back. And so I hope everybody watching just enjoys the team that we have, because teams like this just don't happen very often, although it does feel like it's pretty often here at JMU. I hope nobody takes this for granted. Yesterday was amazing. You could tell how much the win and the crowd meant to our players and to the program. I know Washington State isn't a quote-unquote power conference team anymore, but I think it's still safe to say that they're the biggest brand that's traveled to Bridgeforth Stadium in the history of the program, and the win felt like that, and that was really cool. And so I hope everybody takes a minute to just have fun with this. I want to make the college football playoff as much as anybody, but good heavens, watching Wayne Knight scamper into the end zone and celebrate it like it was his favorite touchdown score of the year was freaking awesome, and feeling Bridgeforth erupt with it was even more awesome. So yeah, go Dukes. We've got 3 weeks left, 3 games, 3 guarantees left, I guess I should say. And I hope everybody listening shows up for the Sun Belt Championship in a couple weeks on a Friday night, because that is going to be unbelievable. But I guess we should try to take care of business against Coastal first. Love you guys. Appreciate what you all do, for bringing our community together, covering our team.
While I truly appreciate Smoke Collins filling in admirably for Landon Ellis, hopefully Landon Ellis can come back, I was deeply concerned by Smoke Collins having 2 mouthpieces attached to his face mask. Does this man have 2 mouths? Does he have one mouthpiece for passing plays and one mouthpiece for rushing plays? Because if so, that's a big tell that the defense can exploit. Why does he have 2 mouthpieces? Go Dukes.
Welcome back into the JMU Sports News Podcast. Appreciate everyone for calling in to our voicemail line. As always, it's always open. Drop your thoughts whenever you want, preferably after a win, after a JMU football game, after a JMU men's or women's basketball game. The phone line's always open. You can find the number over on our Twitter. I think it's 540-227-0881. Don't quote me on that. You can also go back 15 seconds on the video, and the number's up on the screen there as well. Bennett, the floor is yours. Women's basketball with a huge win over Virginia Tech.
Good for them, man. Good for them to get that victory. So I think they're still barely over. Where are they, 4-3 with this? Yeah, they're 4-3. But that's a nice win for them. They've got wins over Liberty now. They got a win over Kent State by a lot of points. They did lose to Villanova. They did lose to Texas in a game that went down to the wire. They actually covered the spread there. 39.5-point spread I saw. And they lost by 39. So that's great, dude.
They weren't getting an at-large. They weren't getting an at-large. So
they're
none of that
at-large,
matters.
baby. They're getting
none of that matters.
They're getting it easy still. Don't worry about it.
Figure it out, and then hit the Sun Belt guns a-blazing.
And then you get, they still have chances here. They're probably going to be favored against Boston College on Friday, and then I think they'll be favored against Wisconsin on Saturday. So they do have a chance to win 3 consecutive games.
Against P4 opponents.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Which is cool. And then, for seeding-wise, later on the season, hopefully they could win the Sun Belt, and then that can maybe, help sway them from a 14 to a 13 line or a 13 to a 12 line. So that's what matters, not the fact that they're in the running to get an at-large or not, because we saw last year the committee's not going to give them. They had a very, very good resume last year that got snubbed, and with a loss now to Villanova, and you're probably not beating Notre Dame, you got smacked by Texas. You're not an at-large, but you might be a 12 seed if you keep beating up opponents.
That's a fair way to look at it. They still have a lot of really fun games left, so I'm not gonna. I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna figure out how Baller TV works. So I'm probably gonna stat watch those games on Friday and Saturday. But those will be interesting. And then they've still got VCU and ECU, and then Notre Dame. So Notre Dame's at home too, which is
and
cool.
LCU and FCU.
And then, like, Sunbelt's got some decent teams at the top. It should be a fun race this year. They're going to be a really fun team to watch the rest of the year. 4-3, but they're going to have a streak this year where they're winning 11 out of 12 or 10 out of 11 or 10 in a row or whatever. So the record at the end of the year is going to look pretty darn good.
Men's basketball, same feelings?
Yeah, I mean, Justin McBride might be the best player in the country. You got a team that they just picked up a win over FIU. A lot of people are saying FIU Final Four kind of team. They played Nebraska and LSU this year. They got blown out by both, but they played them. So that says a lot about FIU, and they're not scared of anybody, but JMU is still able to beat them. So I think that speaks volumes. You look at Towson, that was a really nice win.
That was a good win against Towson. That is actually a good win.
That was a good one. So they're looking like they're trending in the right direction. They're starting to rebound a little better, which is nice, and play a little bit better defense. It's funny because Spradlin's like MO is defense, and Ken Pom has them 106th in offensive, just seeing 303rd defensively. So like once they learn how to play a little bit better defense, which I do think they're slowly getting there. The Longwood and LIU games were real bad, real ugly defensively. But once they get the defense cooking a little bit, man, they could be good. So I'm excited about them because the schedule, they play George Mason and Arkansas still left this year. Outside of that, pretty much everybody sucks. So like they're gonna have a chance to win.
Stinks.
Sunbelt's real bad. So
where does the Sunbelt rank in the country in terms of overall conference numbers? If you got KenPom up,
I do have it up. Here, you can guess first. There's 31 conferences.
They rank probably like 16th,
19th.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, they're a good.
Who are they around?
They're behind the Ivy League. They're behind Southland. They're just ahead of the Southern Conference, and they're a little bit ahead of Horizon League.
Where's the A-Sun?
The A-Sun's 24th, so they're not A-Sun bad, but like they're not. But good.
Southland?
Yeah, so like for comparison, like the A10 is 7th, and they're considered like a really good conference. Or they're 12. They're not even close to the A10, which isn't a surprise. But they're not even really close to Conference USA or the MAC. Or the CAA, which we left. Like, that would be a more competitive conference this year. They have a bunch of teams in the top 200 of KenPom. The Sun Belt really does not. Like, Troy is their best right now at 118. And Troy's 4-4. So they're doing a lot of, like, they hung around with respectable teams kind of thing that's doing a lot of good for them.
Love it. All right. On that note, anything else you want to dive into?
No, we'll talk playoff tomorrow. I can't wait. I love talking playoff.
We'll talk playoffs. We got a whole Coastal Carolina preview with a very special guest. We're excited for that. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. We also greatly appreciate it if you could not subscribe. I just said that. Greatly appreciate it if you could rate the podcast. Leave a couple of words on why you love it. 5 stars all the time. That goes a long way for us over on the back end and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're JMU Sports News. Our home on the web is jmusportsnews.com. Appreciate you for tuning in to the house. We'll have you covered on Monday, and we'll be back probably in like 24, 48 hours with a fresh new episode of the JMU Sports News Podcast. Talk to you then. In the meantime, buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. We greatly appreciate every single person who has recently bought us a coffee. We thank you so much. It means a ton. It helps power it. It may help power us to the Sun Belt Championship game being held at Bridgeforth Stadium on December 5th. Might have a surprise live show. Try to line that up. But we'll see how the back end deals with that. And by the back end, I mean how I can plan that. Thank you for tuning in. See you.